It is 10 p.m. Do you know where your Camden Toy is? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of The End of the Night, which is brought to you by Film Hub. Film Hub is by far one of the leading aggregators of independent films. If you have an independent film and you want to get it out on several platforms, Film Hub is the place to go. They have an amazing reputation, and I love working with those guys at Film Hub. So yes, check out Film Hub, ladies and gentlemen.
And also brought to you by StreamYard. People who always ask us, how do we keep our streams looking professional and having fun all the time? That would be StreamYard. Go check them out. They have a free trial. They are awesome.
Yes, they are. They are beyond awesome. Let me just take a quick sip. Hello, Mr. Smithson. Thank you again for being a wonderful guy. That artwork my daughter's going to take to college and hang on her wall, and she'll be always able to think of her dad. Before we start tonight, Joe, I want to just let everybody know out there, because a lot of my friends and family watch this show. I want to take a moment to say goodbye to my wonderful uncle, Pete Cardone. We loved you dearly, and we spent the better part of the last 30 years together. And Elle, Amanda, and I love you very, very much, and will miss you more than you will ever know. I was blessed to be able to spend some time with you this weekend, and got to hug you and say our goodbyes. But these things suck. So we love you, Uncle Pete, and I'll see you on the other side, brother.
All right. And I also have to give my daughter a shout out. Actually, my daughter and wife a shout out. Hearts of the Mystic Folk. If you guys haven't checked out their website and Facebook page, please go do that. They have amazing scented wax cubes, wickless candles, and new room sprays coming out. All natural, completely all natural. Check them out, please.
Yes, and thank you, Michael. He's another loved family member who's watching. He's saying, "May you rest in peace, Michael. We love you, and Monica, and the kids, and thank you for the kind words." With that, thank you, Francie. Thank you. Francie has a wonderful radio show too. Everybody out there, look for Francie and Friends. She has just a wonderful, wonderful radio show. So to be honest with you, Joe, it's just been a shitty week for me. It's funny because thank you, Libby. I was feeling like shit because my daughter's, as everybody who watches this show knows, is leaving for college now. On Tuesday, she's heading off to Massachusetts to be the next president of the United States, probably. And that sucks when you're a parent and your kid is leaving for college. So it was kind of shitty around here to begin with. And then we had a loved one pass away. And I'm literally sitting at this desk not 3.5 hours ago, Joe, and my phone goes off and it says literally seek shelter. And I was like, what does that mean? It didn't say anything else. I was like, that just doesn't sound good. So I quickly I went on to the local weather on the app up here, and a tornado was literally coming right for my house. So it's just been a shitty day. But now we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun, And Joe, I love you, bro. You always got my back, and
I love you as well, and I will do whatever I can for you.
well, I know that without a doubt. So well, we got all that sad, miserable stuff out of the way. I wanted to talk about last week's show, and Joe, I tell you, the uh, the Indie Escape is in unbelievable hands because the guys who are coming on and doing shows on our network are really just fantastic. And I know one of them will be taking over my time slot soon because I'm kind of an old hack uh, and nobody loves me anymore. But that's beside the point. No, I'm just kidding, Joe.
David, I'm fat. I could have a heart attack, man. Come on. You got to ease
Going,
me into this.
I ain't going to go anywhere until you say it's time to go, Dave. Another thing, we have the hi Keith. Hope you're well. We have the big Halloween extravaganza. When we return a week after next, I will have some enormous news regarding that on some of the people who will be joining us for the wonderful Vincent Price show. I still love you, Dave, always. Well, thank you, Francie. I love you more than I could tell you. The big Vincent Price show, October 31st. We're going to have a never before heard interview with one of the most legendary and iconic actors of all time on this very show. It's kind of like we get to bring Vincent Price back on Halloween night of this year. And what more can, the world and the community need now than to hear the amazing Vincent Price right here on our show on October 31st. And that's going to be fantastic. Michael Tamanya, we love you, family. You're awesome. And spending the last 30 years getting to know you and having you as part of my family, it's been an honor. Okay, so we had the big show last week. CJ, fantastic, funny, smart. Gabe, wonderful, very, very charming. Jason, who's literally should be doing this on network TV. He's just that good. Brandon, who's really, really deep and introspective, and I'm sure is going to bring a whole new class of programming. I'm just super psyched. Scott Meaney, who's just clever and funny, and even his puppets literally scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. Something very, very creepy about that shit. I was like up all night with those like little X eyes, and he kind of had like a high pitched voice, and that was horrifying. But that was wonderful and eerie, and just the talent that you found, Joe, is just amazing. I mean, did you seek out most of these guys, or did these guys seek you out? How did it all come together?
It was kind of a touch of each. A few people reached out to me, and then a few people I worked with in the past was like, "What do you think?" And I'm ecstatic with the participation and the talent that we have. For those that don't know, we are referring to the Indie Escape. Shameless
plug. Not so shameless.
But okay, no, great group of guys. Great group of guys. And and Daniela.
Well, was Daniela? She wasn't on the show last week.
She was not. Her and her husband are also contributing. They were sweet. Unable to be on the show last week. They were actually building their retreat, I believe.
Nice.
So, nice. And it's actually a retreat for indie artists to get away from it all.
I like it.
I'm assuming there's like no internet or anything. They're building this huge place. And Daniela, correct me if I'm wrong. She's obviously watching.
Is that what state is that going to be in? Because I'm going to hop in the car first thing in the morning. Oh, Alaska. Yeah. Shit, I ain't going to Alaska. It's cold up there. It's like 30 days of night, and I saw a vampire movie where literally a vampire was able to be a vampire because they had 30 days of night. Tell you. I could be wrong though. Maybe where she lives, it's 30 days of day. I don't know. My mother tuned in last week. Loved the show. My favorite was El Diablo Jason and El Puppet. Like it? Nice, nice. We were out in Chicken, Alaska. Nice, awesome. Chicken. I didn't know Alaska there was a place called Chicken. Indies are like mushrooms. We are all connected. I was going to say a really rude joke there, but I actually want to retain my friendship with the wonderful Libby McDermott. What?
I think she's referring to the 30 Days of Night reference.
Oh, okay. No, I thought that was a real thing. I thought that was a real thing.
It is in certain parts, I believe. I don't. I'm really not educated or up to date on
Wasn't
Alaska.
your old co-host Danny an Alaskan?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got to get her on it. Oh, it's actually 56 days of night and 80 days of light in the sun. I like that.
Ooh,
Can you
weird.
imagine how sluggish you would be if you were a vampire if you had to stay asleep for 80 days?
I don't think that was part of the movie.
Uh,
I don't even think that was in part 2.
no. Yeah, well, we're waiting for the sequel. The 80 Days of Summer haven't happened, haven't finished yet. Full Moon Fever. I got some wonderful news. It's going to be out this fall still. It's hopefully going to be out the week before Halloween. And that's a really, really scary movie. I don't know how the hell... I'm such a nice, like, easygoing, loving, like, family guy. Somehow I made a really scary, evil werewolf movie. So I don't know how the hell that happened. Is Mr. Schiaffo...
Are we going to get a trailer for that soon?
Yes, it's going to be the first week of September. We are going to get a trailer for Full Moon Fever. Is Mr. Schiaffo around?
He is.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me bring on the screen the man who's lovingly called Grunkle Scott on this very show, the Grand Poobah himself, Grunkle Scott Schiaffo.
What's up? Hello.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Condolences, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What I wanted to ask you, Scott, now I saw some pictures that you put up from a certain film set. Now, were those pictures from last week or were you back on set recently?
Back on set recently. That was Friday. Friday was my full day of speaking, actually. Like at the Quick Stop. That was at the Quick Stop. But the trailer obviously couldn't take pictures of on the actual set.
So did you have a good time?
Oh my God. It just over too soon, obviously, it's like a blink of an eye, but what a amazing experience to be in front of that counter again. And, except this time there's just so much hoopla. It's kind of was so mind blowing considering 30 years ago, it was, shoestring budget and a handful of what you would call kids, 20 somethings. And now, there was more people working the crane than worked on the entire first film.
So, David, the biggest mistake Scott made when he was there was he took a picture of a hamburger, and the hamburger wasn't a movie burger.
What kind of hamburger was it?
It was a craft services veggie burger.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, I don't think... I guess movies exist in this Clerks 3 because I saw the picture that they released with... I can't think of her name. The one who Dante's dating. Rosario, yeah. She has a Movies shirt on. And the other three guys have a Quick Stop shirt on. So I assume that Movies is still existing in the Clerks 3 universe.
Oh, yes. He's talked about, that it's... essentially they shoot Randall's life, and it's not just the first Clerks. Movies is included as well. Hence why Elias is so important in this one, and he's phenomenal. Trevor, it was really wonderful to get to meet him, and I just had the time of my life. I wish there could have been many more days, but it's what Kevin wrote is so much fun for me, and I can't wait for everybody to see it because I think they're going to really enjoy it. You kind of get a weird insight to the actor who's playing the Julie's guy because I'm kind
Oh,
of like the actor playing the actor. So
sweet.
yeah, it was craziness and just more fun than human beings should be allowed to have, as
And
David Letterman.
from what I understand, you're going to be on Francie on Friends on September 8th. So
Yes, correct. That's September 8th. Francie and Friends, they asked me on, which is wonderful. Hey, very excited to be doing the show.
that's a wonderful show. I think I've been doing it for since 2010, so 11 years now. So that's an awesome show. Without
Apparently, you
further
were.
ado, let's not keep our wonderful guest waiting any longer. Our guest tonight could be seen in wonderful television shows and films like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, The Bay. He's just a wonderful guy. I met Camden probably maybe a decade ago, and we've been friends since. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Camden Toy.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Camden, how are you?
All right, how are you? Good to see
I
you.
had a shitty week, but otherwise I'm okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, these things happen, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cavelt because, yeah, it could be worse. I could be, Joe.
Whoa, zing!
So, Camden, thank you for joining us tonight. And one of the very things that I'm always interested in when I have a guest on, and something I never actually got to ask you, is first of all, if you're an amazingly talented performer,
Thank you. Thank you.
your work speaks for itself. But who was someone that when you were young, that you gravitated to, that made you develop the passion you have for what you do in the arts?
Well, I would have to say the very, very, very first person was my father. My father had been a makeup artist and an actor. He studied acting at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. I grew up in the Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. He and Shirley Jones were actually very good friends. They were in the same acting class together for a number of years. And my mother got pregnant with me kind of early, and earlier than they were expecting. And so my father had to kind of put his dream of acting and makeup on hold. Unfortunately, they did try one last ditch effort before I was born to kickstart his acting. His makeup career. They went out to Los Angeles, and with Wally Westmore's help at Paramount Studios. Are you guys familiar with the Westmore family? They're a dynasty of makeup artists. Michael Westmore, his grandson, did all the makeup for Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation, and Mackenzie Westmore was the host on Face Off.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
Okay, now it's ringing a bell.
Yeah, Mark Westmore was an editor on Angel, which I worked on. It's interesting exchanging Wally Westmore stories with the Westmores because the stories they have are similar stories that I have because my father shared them with me. But anyways, when I was very, very young, I got into my father's makeup kit. And instead of him getting angry at me, he actually was willing to show me how to use the makeup. And we would sit at my mother's dressing table and we would do like beards and old age makeup and putty noses. And it was so much fun. And that was my first introduction to transformational character, was through transformational makeup. And in third grade, he asked me if I wanted to study acting. I started studying acting at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. So my father was probably the biggest influence on me when I was very young. We were very lucky, though. My summer between third and fourth grade, we moved into another community, a small town called Delmont in Pennsylvania. And there was a summer theater that was opening that summer. And my family befriended the producers, and they let me, this little kid who was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, hang out there every summer into my teens. And that was kind of my summer camp. so to speak.
That's so
Harry
cool.
Colley was the director there, and he kind of took me under his wing and allowed me to sit in on rehearsals, and it was amazing.
It's funny because I could relate so heavily to that because I remember when I guess I was 10 or 11 when American Werewolf in London came out.
Oh yeah.
And my brother Bob was dear friends with a gentleman named Forrest J. Ackerman, who
Oh yeah,
was
40,
yeah,
yeah.
who was friends with Rick Baker, and we got to play around with I mean with the prosthetics and the spearmint.
Oh my.
Do you remember the spearmint gum they called it? It was the stuff that would remove
Spirit gum.
spear gum. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was. It's funny because right now I'm making a werewolf film, and all I want to do is make a loving ode to two werewolf pictures that I absolutely adored growing up: The American Werewolf in London and The Howling, I think, which both came out in the same year.
Yes, they
And
did. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and that's what gave me a passion for. I've never done any makeup, in a film or anything, but I can understand where your passion comes from because I thought when I was, and to this day, I think it's part of possibly one of the coolest aspects of filmmaking. In your early career, you got tapped to work on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a show
Yes.
that to this very day is still beloved by millions and was culturally relevant when it came out. It was, it was a very important show for the times. Can you tell us how that came together for you? Getting involved with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series.
Yeah, I actually got a call from my agent about the episode Hush. That's the very first episode I did, which was in 1999, and I got a call from my agent. They were like, "Hi, Buffy the Vampire Slayer wants to see you tonight at 6:30." I was like, "Tonight?" Because usually you get at least a day or two in advance. You get the sides, and they were like, "Yeah, tonight." I said, "What about sides?" There's no sides. There's no script. Just go. I was like, "Okay." And as an actor, that's like the great instiller of insecurity when you walk into an audition where you have no time to prepare and you have no idea what you're walking into, and I had no idea. So I was like, "Oh, okay." The original gentleman, the name for the original gentleman was the Laughing Man. Now, Lonnie Hammerman, the casting director, was like, "Okay, there's going to be no dialogue in this episode, so we're probably going to change that name to something else. There's no laughing. We would like you to do this improv. We want you to float in," and I'm like, "Float, okay." Take a scalpel out, cut this young man's heart out, and then float back out again, and all the while smile. So I was like, "Okay." So because of my physical background in physical comedy and mime and clowning and whatnot and martial arts, I was able to approximate floating. I was able to somehow give the illusion of floating, and I sort of floated in. I cut the guy's heart out, and I floated back out again. And Joss Whedon was like, "Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, now I'm going to have nightmares all night. Thank you." And I thought, well, I either have the role or he thinks I'm a total psycho. So yeah. And he even says in the commentary for Hush, he says, both Camden and Doug Jones was my partner in crime in that episode. He said they both scared me so much in the room with no makeup in broad daylight that I knew that they would bring so much to these roles.
I remember that scene like yesterday, and you know what? It was very reminiscent to me at the time when I was watching it. Do you remember? I think 1979 Salem's Lot with David Soul.
Oh, it's been so long. I don't remember that well, but I remember the film, but I don't remember it well.
He had one of the dead kids who become a vampire comes back and visits at the window and is tapping on the glass and is just kind of floating
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
had that really well, I was a lot older when I saw Hush on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it had that same impact on me that I
Right.
remember that Salem's Lot did. It was just wonderfully shot. Keith Hammer says, I worked on a short film with a Tom Lank who was in Buffy. Did Camden have scenes with Tom? Did you ever work with a Tom Lank, this gentleman's asking?
Yeah, I remember Tom very well. When I was playing the Uber Vamp, the original Uber Vamp that comes in season 7. I don't think. I mean, we were in several scenes together. We didn't really get a chance to interact. I think there's this one scene where I'm breaking into Buffy's house, and he's there with the rest of the gals, and he's like trying to help them like escape. But I don't think we actually had an actual interaction together. But but I would speak to him periodically while we were shooting. Absolutely, sure.
Sweet. Now we have, and on this show, we have an enormous amount of filmmakers, both mainstream and independent, and they really like to learn on this show. And what I would love to hear from you, as somebody who's just an unbelievable professional at what they do, can you tell the indie filmmaker out there the importance of good special effects makeup and good special effects makeup performance, because they're two totally different things. It's very difficult to perform while under that makeup, yet, and it's also equally as important to be able to sell the character and the image that you're trying to portray. What are your thoughts on that you would tell the indie filmmaker out there who is working on a project that has a character like that?
Well, I'm very lucky in that most of my makeups on Buffy, most of the prosthetics were fairly thin, so I didn't have to like act through them too badly. I mean, they were very much like a second skin, and that is one of the things that I think makeup artists have to know, and I think most makeup artists do know about this, but every millimeter of the prosthetic has to be glued down so that it can move with the skin. I usually recommend, when people would refer to me or to Doug Jones as suit performers, we're always like, that's fine. I don't have any trouble with working in a suit. But the fact is, we're actors, and I think the biggest advice I could give to indie filmmakers is that if you're going to have someone in prosthetic makeup, make sure they're a good actor, because they're going to be acting through that prosthetic makeup. A lot of people think, you can put a non-actor in makeup and the makeup itself is going to sell it. The makeup itself, I think it was Rob Hall, my makeup artist on several Buffy episodes, said what he said was, my makeup is just a lump of rubber until the actor brings it to life, So you got to make sure you have some really good actors that are working with you under that prosthetic makeup.
I have a question pertaining to that. Have you ever seen the movie Terrifier?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. A friend of the show, David Howard Thornton, plays a murderous clown in Terrifier, and does not have a speaking role whatsoever. But his acting just is through the roof in that. Please check it out if you could.
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, thank you.
I think, and with the point, and I agree with Camden 100%. I think the most important point with prosthetics is that you don't lose the actor, because the performance is super duper important, and it's and when you have a quality actor under the prosthetics, it only amplifies the character that much. It reminds me a lot of James Spader, who did the Ultron in the Age of Ultron.
Oh,
now, I mean, he was literally not under prosthetics, but they used the capture motion to get his facial expressions and everything. And when you watch Age of Ultron, you literally can see Spader's performance coming through.
Absolutely.
And that's and that's really what's super important about that. It sounds like somebody's scrambling eggs on here.
I'm trying to figure out
I hear it as well.
Okay.
I muted my mic to see if
Okay.
it's me, and it's not going away.
Yeah, no, it's not. Let me see if it's me. Hold on.
I think
No.
it might be you, brother.
It's
Think
me.
it's
Huh?
you. Yeah.
You have a loose connection?
I don't think so. Other than in my head. Okay. Well,
There
there
we
you
go.
go. The host of the show ruining it. I just pushed it in tighter. Nope, it's still there. You know what? This is what happens, Camden, when you live on top of a mountain in northeast Pennsylvania and you run a show off an Atari 2600. This is exactly what happens. You get these. Luciana thought somebody was typing. Like any of us are skilled enough to type that fastly. Mr. Schiaffo, is there... I know you had something that you wanted to bring up with Camden. You were talking about earlier in the green room.
Yeah, that's making me nuts. That's on my end. That's super loud. I don't know if that's going over.
I think it's
Is it? It must be his connection. It's,
Oh, it's still there.
yeah.
still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Oh, we
Oh,
lost.
we lost the man. Oh boy.
Oh, I still hear it.
Yeah, I do. All right, hang on now. I'm going to mute. Well, no, now it's gone.
It may
No,
be.
it's still there.
Sorry about that.
It almost seemed like when you,
Was it when I was gone? Was it still here?
I
Yes.
thought it came, yeah, something happened and it was back.
It's not you, Joe.
Is it me?
Hello.
I disputed Camden.
It's Camden's, I think.
You
Oh,
may
no.
be the culprits.
Do you need me? Do you need me to?
How do we help him remedy that?
Maybe earbud up if you can. If not,
I don't
then
have. I don't have earbuds for my.
we'll make do then.
No worries. No worries.
If you
Would it
maybe
be-
if you turn the volume down a hair.
That was funny. In pre-show, he sounded perfect.
Yeah. And that only started a little ways into it.
Do you want me to try exiting and coming back on again?
You can if you like. Or we could just proceed. We can get through
Nope.
or not.
Oh, man.
Well played,
this is-
Camden. Well played.
Yes. This is live broadcasting. This is what happens when.
Ghost in the system. Yeah, everybody. It's getting creepy in time for Halloween.
Isn't that aliens? Yes.
Max Headroom. Wow, haven't thought about that in a minute.
Remember Max Headroom?
Yeah, that was trippy.
And funny,
Vincent-
people who weren't as technically, didn't realize that that's an actual technical term for audio. You know, your
What was
Max
that?
Headroom.
Max Headroom. Do you have Max Headroom in your audio?
Oh, look at that! You learned something
Yeah,
new.
Mr. Schiaffo with the
Yeah.
Dropping the knowledge on us.
Right, yeah. Well,
What-
headroom is the amount of give you would have before you would overload.
With the cool Abe Lincoln shirt on. I hope
Hate
we
is
don't
gonna
lose.
Hate. Hate is gonna hate.
I hope we don't
Is that
lose
what it
Camden.
says?
He's like the coolest guy.
He's got the coolest
No.
shirts. He's got the coolest gum.
He's got the coolest
Oh.
gum.
Camden
Yeah.
is awesome. My gosh, let's get him back. There he
Yes.
is.
There he is. Hey.
I'm still here. Is it gone?
It sounds like it's gone for now.
Yay.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Yes, Camden and I have a lot in common. Unfortunately, what we don't have in common is the amazing amount of work he's done. I have done maybe a third of that work, and it's not amazing. I can tell you that. But we know a dear friend. I want to shout him out, Derek Mackey,
Derek Mackey's wonderful.
who's
Yeah.
a booking agent, who's a sweetheart of a guy, and Marilyn Gigliotti as well, who I think
Yes.
you're.
Yes.
familiar with-
I haven't seen her in so long. Have you seen her recently?
I actually have, and on this, set of Clerks 3. Well, actually, we weren't on the set of Clerks 3 on the same day, but we've been communicating a lot now that Clerks 3 is filming. But Derek is a sweetheart, and
Yes.
I know you've been with him for probably quite a while, right?
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Good
Yeah,
Lord. Yeah, 10 years maybe. I don't know.
wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And also too, we had similar academic interests.
Right.
Share with us your academic achievement because it's quite impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I just got my master's degree in clinical psychology, and I got from the Board of Behavioral Health here in California. I'm now what's known as an associate marriage and family therapist, and also an associate professional clinical counselor.
In California, do they do the NCC? Have you done an NCC? Because I know I'm an NCC, which is just a national certification for counselors.
I, I'm not familiar with it. No.
It's probably
Yeah,
not as big in California.
they may have it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Now, tell me if this is partially where you are at with pursuing this. That's been a passion of mine since I was a very young man. Uh, Psychology, talk therapists, Freud, even though Freud took a lot of heat for years, like a
Sure,
lot of
sure.
stuff was getting sort of antiquated, or they thought that they were almost canceling Freud at one point. Then he came back. But as actors, what we do essentially is study human behavior. And, professional therapy is all about human behavior. And
Right.
that was one of the ways in for me. And my areas of specialty were addiction, more or less, because I have my own history with that, but we don't need to go into that.
I'm also a certified addiction treatment counselor.
Oh, wow. There you go. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
and sober 27 years. So
I got 15
Nice.
4th of July.
congratulations! Wow.
Thank you.
Maybe you
too,
guys
sir.
can help me because I'm addicted to love.
Woo!
That is actually is an addiction. Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
You can become addicted to anything. and
Look
in
at the
this-
calluses on this right hand.
I was going to say self-love.
Oh, my gosh. He's got a really well-toned right arm.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at
there
that
you go.
forearm, baby.
Yeah. There you go.
Hulk Hogan's jealous. Stop blushing, Joe. You know what, Camden? We had a bunch of beautiful women on my show last week because it was, well, actually, it was 2 weeks ago. It was my birthday episode, and the beautiful Tiffany Shepis was on.
She's
both,
wonderful. She's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. So some people say that. And Katie Barberi was on. There was just some really beautiful women on, and they were telling Joe how handsome he was.
Oh.
And Joe turned literally fire engine red, kind of
Wow.
like he is right now. I love you, Joe. I'm just playing with you. So you do all this wonderful stuff on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then you show up on an episode of Angel. Now, was Angel was that production similar to Buffy the Vampire Slayers, or was it like a totally different vibe?
No, it definitely had some similarities. At that point, Buffy had been canceled, and Angel was in their last season, although they didn't know that it was their last season yet. It hadn't been officially canceled. Some of the cast was similar. They brought James Marsters over to be on Angel that season. Some of the crew was the same crew that had been on Buffy, and some of the writers were also some of the same writers that had been on Buffy. So it was not all that different, and it had so it was. It was kind of fun. It was kind of funny. The way I got cast in that is they were having trouble casting that role. So the clock is ticking, and Robert Hall from Almost Human is going, guys, you got to cast this because we need to take the life casts so we can start doing the sculpt for the makeup. And they were like, and Jeff Bell, the showrunner, was like, I know, we just haven't casted yet. And Robert Hall was like, well, what about Camden Toy? I already have his molds. We could start casting. We could start, sculpting on his molds. And Jeff Bell was like, oh, we love Camden, but can he do comedy? And I don't know if you guys remember that episode of Angel, but the Prince of Lies, the character of the Prince of Lies, he's very creepy, but he's the comic relief for the episode. And I understand their fear was that all they had seen me do up there till then was these creepy, scary characters, and they were scared they're going to get me in makeup on set, and then I didn't understand the comedy of it. I was just like, I'm an actor, of course I understand it, but I said, hey, I'll audition. Do you want me to? I mean, and I auditioned for practically every role I did on Buffy and Angel because they weren't sure about from my last roles. Is he able to do this role? And I was like, sure, I'll audition. So I auditioned, had them in stitches. I got them laughing, and they were like, oh, okay, all right.
Wow,
It's very funny when what I remember about that role is that it's Tom Hiddleston's Loki is very reminiscent of that role, and I think that he might have been inspired from watching that episode. Well, I mean, it was Josh Whedon was probably like, check this out, this is what we want you to do, because that's the connections there were kind of horrifying.
That's funny. That's funny.
Tell me a little bit about your character. Give me a second. Igor Chambers.
Oh, Igor Chambers on the Bay. Igor Chambers on the Bay is this character who he's a bit of a psychopath who is convinced that the lead of the show is in love with him. The male lead is in love with him, and so and he's getting rebuffed. So he gets really angry, and he shows up at the guy's rehearsal dinner for his wedding, with a bomb strapped to him. And saying, you got to tell everybody about this, and that you're in love with me, and that you're a homosexual, and it's like, and of course I get shot, and I come in the hospital, and then I'm on the lam, and then I'm like, then I'm like in police custody, and it's such a fun over the top role. Like when Gregory Martin, the creator of the Bay, thought of me for that character, I was thrilled because almost every other actor on that show were iconic soap actors, and that was his idea. He wanted to really have the fans of soap operas want to watch this because of all the different soap actors on the show. And I was one of the few non-soap actors, and his producers were originally concerned that I wasn't a soap actor. And he actually, I think, had sort of kind of gently talked them into allowing me to do the role. So that was in the first couple of seasons of The Bay.
That was a very clever show.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the films that you are working on now.
Well, most recently I worked on a film called Boogie Man. It was written and directed by my old friend James Bills, I've worked on numerous projects with. I ended up playing two roles in it. I play the sort of boogeyman-esque / sort of what they call the shape. And you kind of just see me as like this kind of shape periodically throughout the film. You don't really, it's a little like the shark in Jaws. You don't really quite see him. You know what I mean? He's kind of there. So it's this kind of boogeyman that sort of kind of comes in and kind of takes over. But then they also had me play. There was this flashback in the film to the 1800s, sort of an origin story of the boogeyman, and I play an old prospector, an old gold prospector, and I just love the fact that James thought of me for both roles. That's so unusual. So that was really great.
Wait a minute. Camden, John Carpenter just texted me. You cannot use the phrase "the shape."
Well, believe it or not, Carpenter would, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Did you ever meet John Carpenter, Camden?
Unfortunately, I don't think I have.
Okay. To be honest with you, that would be fortunately.
Yeah. Oh really?
I've met. You know what? I'll keep my mouth shut.
Well, I think we've done some conventions together, but I haven't had a chance to really talk with him.
Yes, I've met cobras with nicer personalities. But that being said, Camden, this Halloween on October 31st, which is a Sunday night, which is the night our show's on, my brother and I, when we were just little tots, had the great pleasure of interviewing the late Vincent Price. And we have a 45-minute interview with Vincent Price, which is just absolutely fantastic. He talks about Dr. Phibes 3, which was never made, and he talks about his famous favorite actors and actresses he works with, and he talks about almost every role that he's ever been in, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful event that we're having. We're having a whole bunch of horror icons on that night. I'm going to ask you right now if you were free on that Sunday evening at 10 o'clock. If you are free, I know it's a big convention weekend for many, but if you are free, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
And talk about the interview as it progresses. What we're going to do is we're going to take little pieces of the interview and play it, and then we're all going to think, discuss what was said, because it's Vincent Price, man.
No,
So,
it sounds wonderful. I would be honored. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep. So if you could keep that Sunday night open, we would love to have you.
Okay.
Camden, is there any place where people who are watching us tonight can find you on social media and such?
Yeah, probably the two easiest places to find me are on Facebook, which I'm the only Camden Toy on Facebook, so that's easy to find. And then on Twitter, it's Camden _toy at Twitter. That's where you can find me. So those are the two easiest places to find me.
Oh, that's awesome. Scott, is there anything that you would like to touch base with Mr. Toy before I let him go tonight? Because he's been a great sport putting up with my stupidity for the last 45 minutes.
I just want to thank you for doing the show, and you're an inspiration.
Thank you.
Many people I've worked with over the years speak so highly of you. Other actors, Marilyn Gigliotti being one, and so you really are a bastion of the character actor, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And
Thank you.
Stay awesome and keep rocking it, man.
Let me just touch on that for a moment. About I guess it was about 2001. I think I was at a con with Camden in Pittsburgh called Horror Realm.
Oh yeah.
And somebody asked us to do because I actually brought my a camera with me. Somebody asked us to do like a goofy fake horror trailer. And I asked Camden and Tiffany Shepis, and there was a whole bunch of us who were there. And without hesitation, Camden got right into character. We went right outside the hall where the convention was going on, and we shot this cute, wonderful little is that the way you say it? Fake horror trailer. Yeah, faux horror trailer.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of guy he is. He was just like, hey,
It was
sure.
fun.
Yeah, no, you're just it was just not everybody is like that, Camden, as you know, in this industry. But maybe that's why you continue to work, and that's why people,
Absolutely.
because you're kind with your time and with your knowledge and with just being a good guy. So I thank you for that, Camden.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right,
Appreciate that.
Camden, I will see you on Halloween night when we.
Hey, what am I?
What are you? What, you're going somewhere?
I'm no one. Well, usually you ask me if I have anything to.
No,
ask,
you
and
usually just butt in and cut me off the screen altogether and just
you know
take
what
the show
beautiful
over.
thing is, Camden, I have the power to do this.
Go zing!
Wow.
So now I can say whatever I want. No. Let me bring David back and put Scott back over there. Put you back.
Joe,
over
you
there.
know I love you.
Yeah.
You just jump in whenever you want. You know what? It's now Joe Ridgely's end of the night. I will be the handsome guy, mysterious guy who
Producing
sits
it's
in the
hard enough. But Luciana actually asked, were you in a Metallica video?
Yes.
I
The
was
Frozen guy?
in the King Nothing Metallica video, which we shot in up above Park City, Utah, in the dead of winter. And the band, I remember saying to the director, "Why didn't we do this in studio where you could actually control it?" And he said, "You don't understand. The band wanted to shoot it in the snow."
Wow. Did they only want green M&Ms also? And
You know what? That was off the Reload album, right? Was it King Nothing? You said?
You know, yeah, it was King
It's on
Nothing.
one of those. It's either
I don't
Load or
remember
Reload.
which album it was off of. I'm
No,
sorry
the
to
only
say.
reason I bring that up because it was Load and Reload are the albums that followed up Black, which is one of the biggest selling albums of all time. So they were probably at the time the biggest band in the world.
They
So
were
that's
huge.
why,
Yeah, they were
that's
huge.
why your ass was stuck in the middle of a snowstorm in the middle of wherever you.
It was so funny. Yeah, I was like trudging through like hip deep snow.
Did you guys ever see that documentary about Metallica when they were trying to do the Saint Anger album?
Oh yeah, that's great.
No, I
Some
missed that.
kind of monster.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking to see the way they really are, though. I mean, well, what the hell? Am I?
after Injustice for All, I kind of stopped paying attention. Sorry.
I get it. Well, Camden, I won't take you up any more of your
No.
time with. Oh, you have another question?
I only got to Luciana's question.
Oh, I
didn't
thought
get
that's.
to
Go
mine.
ahead. Sorry.
So now you're making me lose my train of thought.
Well, it's a short train.
Camden. So what I'm wondering is your worst experience in makeup and your absolute best experience in makeup.
Well,
Either in the chair, actual chair, or the role.
I've been very lucky. I've had amazing makeup artists. So the actual makeup, the makeup itself, the application, and the removal has all been very good. So I've been very lucky. When I was in makeup, we had a stunt that went awry once on Buffy, where I was on a wire and they kept rehearsing it and they couldn't get it fast enough. They couldn't get the wire. They were pulling me out of frame, out of frame, and they couldn't get it fast enough. And somebody actually said, I think it was the assistant director, said to the guy who was pulling it, "Just pull it faster." But they didn't rehearse it that way. And you never do a stunt with the camera rolling that you haven't rehearsed. You have to rehearse the specific. So what happened was they got it fast enough, but I went way beyond where I should have going up. And I went all the way up to the top and hit my head on the ceiling. And I was not hurt, but I could have been paralyzed. I could have had, broken my neck. And Sarah was so freaked out. She thought I'd gotten hurt badly that she tore out of there up to the writer's room and was like, "You get your asses down there. They're not taking care of Camden's hurt down there." And I mean, thank God she really was was in my camp for that. She was amazing. And I was fine. I mean, they immediately pulled me down and the medic checked it out, but I was in full prosthetic with like a cowl, like a foam rubber cowl, and he was all ready to like rip it off. And I thought, you rip that off, it's going to be another 3-4 hours in makeup. And I just said, well, wait a minute. So I sort of felt it. I said, well, I didn't see stars. I don't feel any blood. I think I'm okay.
Ooh, man.
Thank God.
But it was a scare. It was definitely a scare. So that was probably one of the worst experiences. One of the best that came out of that was that Sarah was just so amazing and loving and helpful. She was amazing. She was always concerned about people's safety and well-being on set. Some of my best experiences, probably in the same makeup, which is the character Gnarl, which was season 7. The episode was same time, same place. Getting in that full bodysuit and having everything, having the fingers and the hands and the feet and the teeth and the contact lenses and the full makeup and like getting on set and like getting people's reaction was like amazing. Bringing that makeup to life was amazing.
Was there ever a role that you auditioned for that you sadly didn't get that went on to be a big thing?
Oh, You know, the only thing I can think of, and I don't know what happened to this role, was there was a film I was auditioning for when I lived in New York City, and I'm not sure what happened to the role, but the actress, often when you audition by yourself, and the actress that was also there was an actress that was auditioning for the role opposite me, and so they decided they were going to have us read together, and so we had time ahead of time to actually to work something out. And we worked out a thing where I was like, I intimidated her so badly that she was in tears. And but we rehearsed it that way. They were so freaked out. they thought that I was actually doing what
what it looked like.
Yeah, what it looked. Yeah, so it was pretty. And she was afterwards. She was like, "Oh, thank you so much," because it was my work that got her to the tears. It's in acting, it's this wonderful like dance that you're doing together. And we kind of just hit it off, and we had such a great time. But we made the mistake afterwards of not having turning to the director and going, we rehearsed this. No one was in danger. They were sure she was in danger, and they were sure I was just a total psycho.
Great acting.
Yeah. So that was the role that I did audition for. I don't know what happened to it, but I made the mistake of not, reassuring them afterwards that what they saw was actually indeed acting.
Wow.
Joe, can you pull up Danielle Shepard's question?
I can.
Angelica Houston said in an interview that she has a ritual when she retires her character, she burns the costume. Do you have anything special you do when you are done with a character?
That's it's a very different thing when you're doing theater as opposed to film. I don't have as much of a problem retiring a character I've done in film, because in television, maybe I'm shooting 3 days, maybe I'm shooting 3 weeks, but it's fairly short. Theater, you might do a character for several months. And as Jim Dale used to say, you have to put a bullet in the head of that character after that run, and it's very painful. It's difficult. And I guess my ritual would be that I have a conversation with that person that is me. I'm not one of those people that like talks about my character. Because to me, it's me. It's me in an imaginary circumstance. It's,
right.
It's like, if I'm playing King Lear, well, I never was king, I'm never going to be king, but it's me in an imaginary circumstance, as if I had been born into royalty. So it's as if. It's kind of what Harrison Ford said on a talk show when someone said to him, what's the method you use? He says, I use the let's pretend method. And to me, it's a let's pretend. But I have a conversation with that role, afterwards, before I sort of give it a rest. And sometimes they stick around. I mean, sometimes they stick around.
Michael Tamanya has a question. Camden, what was the most favorite role you played in, and what film was it?
Probably my favorite role was a theater role. Actually, I did a production of Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that book. In New York City with Tiny Mythic Theater Company. He called it The Scarlet Letter, a carnival adulteration of Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. I played Roger Chillingworth, and Chillingworth is a fascinating character, because when he shows up there, Hester Prynne is already on the scaffold with the A as the adulterer on her bodice, holding the child she's given out of wedlock. And it's his wife, and he's like, what the fuck, because he got delayed. He was coming over from England to the new country, and he got delayed several years. Well, she ended up shacking up with somebody else. So, and the play takes place over a period of years, and he's kind of physically handicapped. He's on a cane in the beginning of the play. By the end of the play, which takes place several years later, he's on 2 canes. He's in trouble. He's physically and emotionally and spiritually in trouble.
Wow.
Because he can't let this demon that's eating his insides out, called revenge, he can't let it go.
It's funny because almost every actor that I've ever interviewed or met, for that matter, or worked with, when you ask them what is one of their favorite roles, almost 99 out of 100 times the actor will say something they did on stage. And it shows how stage work, how important it is, and how beloved it is by actors. I will say something that sounds incredibly corny. My favorite role has been, for the last 18 years, being a dad to my daughter.
Wonderful.
And my daughter, Camden, is leaving for college on Tuesday.
Where's she going?
And she's going to a college in Massachusetts. I don't want to say on air, but
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. But she's going up to a college in Massachusetts. I will tell you off air gladly.
Okay. Gotcha.
But she's going up to a college in Massachusetts, and I live in Pennsylvania, so she's going to be a little bit over 3.5 hours away. And it's funny because when you said that you get attached to the television roles or the film roles, and it's because of they're kind of like they're substantial and they're there, if that makes any kind of sense. And when they go away, it's like losing a family member.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah, it is.
Well, with that being said, gentlemen, can we let our hostage go? Is there anything else you guys want to ask this poor? Camden, again, thank you so very, very much for joining us on our show tonight. If I seem out of sorts, I apologize because I've had a very shitty day. But
I'm sorry.
Well, no, wait, I'm not done. Spending the last hour with you guys has made it infinitely better, and I'm being completely honest. You're just, just put a smile on my face and got me to get away from crappy stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
So with that said, Camden, I will see you on Halloween night. If you ever have anything that you want to come on and promote, or you just want to come on and shoot the shit, or if you want to come on and abuse Tiffany Shepis with me, everybody who wants to do that is absolutely welcome. With that being said, Camden, thank you, my dear friend. Be well, and it was an absolute honor and privilege to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you, David.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see
Ladies
you
and
next
gentlemen,
time.
Camden Toy.
Take care.
What an awesome guest.
He's absolutely awesome. And you know what? I'm a little mushy and out of sorts tonight. So I'm gonna apologize to everybody watching tonight. Joe and Scott, who are really as kind and wonderful as they appear on the show, and you know, I joke around a lot. So everybody always thinks that it's like a segue to a joke, but it's not always a segue to a joke. Joe and Scott are wonderful, wonderful guys, and they made me smile tonight on a shitty night. And they really were like, "Hey, let's just we'll cancel the show. We'll have Camden on another time. He's a great guy. He's not gonna be upset." And you know what? The show must go on. You know, coming on here with you guys and with my end of the night family who keeps popping up, sending me well wishes and just being, you know, absolutely put a smile on my face for the last hour. Thank you, Michael. You're awesome. I'm honored to be related to you. Okay, I don't know. Well, we're not actually related because he's on my wife's side, but he knows what I mean. Love your family. Got great kids, and your wife is wonderful. And his dad, he lost his dad not too long ago. He was a great, wonderful human being. So with that being said, I want, we talk on this show every week about pop culture. We talk about movies. We talk about filmmaking. We talk about music. We talk about conventions. We talk about acting. We talk about my friend Emmett's telling me I should build an ark, which is true. It's literally like Emmett from Haven for Heroes. Kari, Scott's beautiful young lady, is telling me to keep smiling. I will do my best. If I smile too much, my face will actually break. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody, first off, for joining us tonight. I want to thank Joe for his tireless efforts. I want to thank all the guys who were on the show last week, who are going to be the life's blood of the Indie Escape, for doing all the wonderful things they do. And I want to thank you two guys for just being cool wingmen.
Our pleasure. And thank you.
Got it, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael. With that being said, I'm going to tell everybody we will be back week after next. Joe, who's our guest when we return?
That would be Steve Johnston. He was known as the toy expert on the History Channel's Pawn Stars.
Sweet. As many of you know, I have an absolute passion for toys, so that should be a wonderful show. We'll have a great time with that. We're not going to be on next Sunday because I'm going to be weeping still because my daughter will have left for college. And I'll actually be in Massachusetts next Sunday. And so we'll return a week from Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. And you know what's really great about when we come back? It starts what I call the fall and the Halloween season. And all the crazy shit and shenanigans that this show has scheduled for September, October, all I'm going to tell you out there watching is buckle your fucking seatbelts because shit's about to get crazy around here. I don't even want to begin to explain the madness that's going to happen, but we have Vincent Price's unearthed tape on Halloween night, and on the weeks leading up to Halloween, we are going to have shows like never before seen on this on this broadcast here. Mr. Schiaffo, is there anything you'd like to tell everybody before we rock on for the evening?
Just thank you all for the wonderful support. Want to thank all of the View Askew fans who, due to your support, there is a Clerks 3, which has just been amazing to be a part of. I want to thank the lovely and talented Carrie Werner, a.k.a. Jewel Cowrie. She's my partner in life and crime. Without her, I'm meat. And I want to thank you two and everybody who's been watching. You guys are great. And stay safe, stay dry if you're on the East Coast. It's crazy. This storm is insane. But thank you.
And earlier in the show, my dear friend Joe Ridgely popped on with a quick advert about his loving wife and daughter's business. And he did it what seemed to be abruptly because he saw that I was welling up because I was talking about a family member who passed away. Joe, before we go, do a proper promo for what's going on with your beautiful wife and daughter.
I'd love to. Thank you. Hearts of the Mystic Folk. It's my wife and daughter's business. They are selling scented cubes and wickless candles and room freshener spray bottles. Sorry, I was taken off guard. All natural, 100% all natural, and they smell wonderful. If you're into that kind of thing, please check them out.
I actually have one burning in my room right behind me right now. You know what's so wonderful about their products is that I buy those. I'm a big fan of those Scentsy cubes, and those Scentsy cubes, literally, you burn the cube maybe 3 or 4 times, and it gives your room a nice scent, and it's lovely. 5th, 6th, 7th time, you got to throw that shit away. It's not doing a damn thing. With what your wife and daughter's product does is that you burn it 5 times, you burn it 10 times, you burn it 20 times, you burn it 35 times. It always has a wonderful, wonderful aroma. And I don't know what they did, a mom and daughter operation did, that a multi-million-dollar corporation like Scentsy can't figure out. Their product is so
And
superior.
they charge less.
And they charge less. Their product is so superior. It's really mind-boggling. So, with that
Thank
being
you.
said, Joe, is there anything we need to touch on before we go tonight?
Yes, please. Everybody who is joining us this evening, please subscribe and like David Lee Madison's The End of the Night Facebook page, the Indie Escape Facebook page, and YouTube channel. David's shows will be archived on the Indie Escape YouTube channel.
How do you get the wax out of the burners? Luciana, I will tell you because I'm a master. I think I bought 5 or 6 flavors from Joe's wife, and I like to change them frequently. What you do is you take the top of the burner. When I say a burner, I have one that has a light bulb in it, not an actual candle. You take the top of the burner and you chuck it in the freezer for after you have it off, of course. You don't put it in while it's still wet. After you have it off, you chuck it in the freezer for 10 minutes, and when you take it out of the freezer, the wax thing comes right out. And then you could put the wax things,
right.
and then you could take the wax things out and put them in sandwich baggies, and you could have stacks of whatever scent you want to use whenever you want them. They're fantastic. And really, yeah, I was going to buy another set from Joe, but they make their shit just too good. I don't need them yet, but I will when these eventually stop with their wonderful aroma, because they're just fantastic.
Fall and winter scents are coming out soon.
Yes, and it makes the perfect Christmas gift. Ladies
Thank
and
you.
gentlemen, you're very welcome. With that being said, everybody, tonight, go see the person you love, and kiss them on the forehead, and give them a hug, because you never know when you can't do that again. With that being said, no man's a failure who has friends, and these guys prove it to me every week. Love you, everybody.